Hello, everybody, and welcome to Your Overseas Home and our webinar, Property Viewing Trip Essentials with the Spanish Estate Agent. Thank you very much for joining us, whether you're watching us live or you're catching up on demand. Stop my notifications. Yes, so we're going to be talking all things viewing trip, because hopefully you're just going to think about either booking that trip or you've already booked one, and it's a great time to go, I think, and get in early for that property in Spain, and by the spring, certainly by the summer, you could be living it up on the Costa del Sol, or whichever Costa is your favorite. So my name is Christopher Nye. I'm the senior editor at Your Overseas Home and also Spain Property Guides. And I'm joined today by Shirin Sharifi, the Spanish estate agent, who is based on the Costa del Sol. So tell us all about yourself, Shirin, and you have a presentation. But just sort of introduce yourself first, and then we'll do some housekeeping.
Okay, my name is Shirin Sharifi, as you heard. I'm the sales director at the Spanish Estate Agent, which is an agency down on the Costa del Sol. We presently have two offices functioning on the Costa, one in Estepona and one servicing the Marbella area in San Pedro, which is a really up and coming area. But that office is great because it kind of we now cover the three main areas where people calling the Golden Triangle, which is Marbella, Benavis and Estepona. But actually, in reality, we cover from right the way from Malaga all the way to Gibraltar, inland as well. So my presentation is how we work and the viewing trips, but a lot of it will apply to other areas as well. So I have 24 years experience in real estate here on the Costa del Sol. It'd be my pleasure to put that to good use on your behalf. I have a fantastic team speaking many different languages in the offices, all of them with several years experience in real estate on the coast. So we've invested heavily on in offices and a good team here on the coast. So that's who we are. So
okay. Hang on, just before the presentation, if people would have specific questions, do please put them into the chat box, the questions box, which you should see on your right hand side, and we'll get as many answered as possible. So thank you very much. Take it away.
I'll get through the presentation fairly quickly because obviously I'd like to answer your questions, and there's a few that Chris is going to ask me as well. But so as I've mentioned, we're on the Costa del Sol. We provide a full service agency. We have the two offices. We obviously will meet you in our offices, but the whole point of this seminar is to talk about meeting you beforehand. We have a central database of properties where we have access to every single property that's available for sale on the coast. People don't sort of understand that, but it's basically all properties are put into one system. You can send me a link from any website, any portal, anywhere. If it's in my area, I will be able to access the information about that property and give you all the information, community fees, EB, all that sort of thing, and show you that property as well. So we'll go into further detail later on, but it does mean that you can work with one agent and one that you trust and one you hopefully feel comfortable with. So we can do online appointments beforehand, much like this, to give you as much information as possible, but also to have that human face that you can feel that you're dealing with. And we can talk as in much detail about areas, properties, types of properties, and we can do a lot of online virtual tours as well. I've obviously this came about from COVID, but we can do a lot of virtual tours. We've got a fantastic material now, not just floor plans, but virtual walkthroughs where you're literally walking through the property and everything is almost in 3D. But also the best thing I find is actually me being on site with my camera, with a connection to yourselves where we're literally walking through the property and you're saying, Shirin, go back to that spot. I would just want to see that, is there anything that's, that I'm missing? And you can do a really thorough walkthrough and viewing of a property before your trip over here. So So that's something we can do beforehand, and obviously we do deposits and so on beforehand as well. Sometimes we do subject to viewings if we can get that agreed. So many of the properties, because we have such a great marketing department, we do have exclusive properties listed with us only. So the only way of viewing those is through us. But that's the whole point, is that I can open the viewings of any property that's for sale on the Costa del Sol at all. Okay. So the areas that we cover, as I mentioned, we cover from just east of Malaga itself, going all the way to Gibraltar, and the inland areas that you can see there up to, let's say, Ronda, Alara, Galfin, those sort of areas inland as well. But very much the area that you can see on the map there, we just don't go as far as Almeria, probably not as far as Nerja either, unless it's a particular property. Obviously the distances, depend. You've got from Malaga to Fuengirola, where you've got a fantastic train service, but the rest of the coast, there is no train service. It's just buses. So a lot of people tend to have cars. Wherever you buy, people, always say to me, oh, I want to be somewhere where I don't need a car. Well, we have to be quite specific about where that we can offer you for that, because the rest of the coast, really, wherever you are, you do really need a car. Okay. So why buy in the Costa del Sol? Obviously you've already, by this stage, know that you want to be either in Spain in general or on the Costa del Sol. We have one of the best it's one of the biggest destinations on the Costa del Sol. We've got the climate, and we all know it's lovely and warm here, but a lot of people didn't know that literally 2 hours from Marbella, less than 2 hours from Marbella itself, you can go skiing, on Europe's most southerly ski resort. Going the other way towards Cadiz, you've got water sports where you've got surfing, and of course the big sport on the Costa del Sol, which is huge, which is golf, and which we call it the Mecca of golf, because we have over 100 golf courses on the Costa del Sol. And of course, we all know the cost of living is so much better here than the UK. So the numbers of people coming here and what there is to do. There's lots and lots. The sign of a healthy market is always when there's construction happening. But the good thing about the Costa del Sol is it's become so incredibly strict as to what they can build. So we don't have the projects with thousands and thousands of phases and properties being built anymore. It's very conscientious. It's very energy efficient and very sustainable. So it's and it has to be to get permission for build here. So still very, very probably the most popular place for Brits. But what I love about the Costa del Sol is that it attracts people from all over, whether it's Scandinavia, Belgium, Holland. In fact, we're enjoying a large amount of people with dollars buying, would be the Canadians, the Americans, and so on as well. So that's been really healthy for our market. So yeah. So what can we offer you as an agency that works in this way? Obviously, myself, I'm really, really in with all the developers, because I've been working with them for so long. I know a lot of them quite well. We get some of the earliest notifications of launches for projects. That's for new developments. But if there's price drops or special offers and so on, we have access to all of those earlier than anybody else. The good thing about the way we work is that you are dealing with one person. You're not having to explain yourself a million times over. This is what I'm looking for. And I really pride myself on my team listening to what the clients are looking for, really listening and showing them as close as possible to what the clients are looking for within the budget that is allowed. And I hear a lot of clients coming to us saying, I'm sick of agents not listening to me. I don't, they just keep taking me to these new developments, or they take me to places I can't walk to. I can't, they're sticking me out in the middle of nowhere. we really pride ourselves on trying to get you to as close to what you're looking for as possible. Obviously, your ideas will change throughout viewing and so on. Different priorities may come into mind that you didn't even think about before. However, we will be flexible and we'll think on our feet and hopefully find you the right property. The more I spend with you, the more time I spend with you, the more you are with me uniquely, is that the more I understand what it is you're looking for, and the less time you waste actually having to explain yourself and going to the wrong sorts of properties. Again, I must specify, you can send me the link from any website. You can show us any property you like the look of. I spend a lot of my time going through websites and links that people send me, and I send them back the property with all the information. The beauty of it is you don't have to be pulled in all different directions, talking to hundreds of different agents. One agent telling you their area is the best, the other one saying, no, my area is the best. I'm very, very unbiased. For me, it's as much being a tour guide and introducing you to different areas, but I'm not pulling you in one direction or the other, because I cover them all. And of course, you're my client, and therefore I act as a buffer between you and any agents that are either too pushy or not 100% telling you everything about the property. My priority is you as my client. So again, we'll talk about that in further detail. What do you need to do? I always say to people, please contact me as early in your thinking stage as possible. And we can talk and do loads of homework before your viewing trip in the ways that I've mentioned. By the time we're actually physically looking at properties, obviously we need to have finance in place and so on. But as I say, there's a lot we can do beforehand, and there's a lot I can introduce you to and educate you on the subject, on the areas and so on. We can talk to you about finance. We can help you in that sense as well, introducing you to the right, whether it's a mortgage broker or directly to the bank. Maybe you get a better deal back in the UK or wherever you're coming from. But we have to discuss that as well. We have to know how the purchase is going to be made. Obviously, we really recommend you speak to Smart Currency, because they can really save you thousands in terms of currency. 9 times out of 10, my clients will use them for their currency transactions, and they've always said to me, oh, this is the sofa we bought with the savings we made, or this is the, there's thousands to be saved because of their great rates that they offer our clients, specifically our clients. The other thing that we do, which is very important, is whether it's beforehand or during the viewing trip, we introduce you to an English-speaking lawyer or a lawyer in your language, but specifically in English, somebody that's the lawyer that I use is half Spanish, half English. They go through everything with you fully, and you need to be fully covered legally. And I can tell you many stories as to why you should use a lawyer, and things that could happen if you don't. But definitely you need a lawyer on the ground here on the Costa del Sol. And some people say to me, oh, I've got a Spanish lawyer in London I work with. But that isn't, you have to have a local lawyer that's in the town hall, that can do all the research fully for you here on the ground, and works the same way that we do generally here. Because even within Spain, the taxation is different. Again, something I'll come on to, but each province is independent and has several different ways of working. So that's really important, and we'll introduce you to a lawyer. So one office in Estepona, very Spanish, really up and coming. They've spent millions and millions. All the money that was subsidizing the bullfighting is now going into beautifying the town. But the mayor is very famous around the world. It's just won second place as the best place, the best town in Europe. So it's the credentials I'll give you, but it's literally become second. I can't remember where it came second to, but I don't care. It's absolutely stunning, really safe, clean, authentically Spanish place, and yeah, really booming at the moment as well. So that's why we opened our first office, but our second office is now in San Pedro, which is a part of the the town of Marbella. It's a Marbella address, but it's a village within that. San Pedro, again, very authentically Spanish. They've got a beautiful, clean promenade, kilometre long. They've covered the main motorway that goes through the town with, they've created a tunnel with a beautiful boulevard on top. The town is one of those lovely places where it's all pedestrianised, and you can see the Spanish in their finery in the evenings, having their ice cream after the meals. And anyway, it's just a beautiful town. But what it does mean, as I say, we cover the Marbella area, Benavis, with a physical office. But please don't forget, we do cover the whole coast as far as properties. So, yeah, that's the end of the presentation. So we look forward to speaking to you as and when. You'll have all my details on request. And that's me done.
Brilliant. Okay, so let's get into some of the questions. We've had some fantastic questions. So we're focusing very much on the viewing trip.
Yeah.
We've had a few legal questions. Do call into your overseas home. Perhaps we can answer them, but at the end. But you can always call into your overseas home, and one of our property consultants can help you with those. So, viewing trip. How long should my viewing trip be?
Mm-hmm.
And how many properties is realistic to view, would you say?
I think it always depends on the kind of property you're looking for, but in general, 9 times out of 10, our clients, because of the amount of work we do together beforehand, we've pretty much got the viewing list booked sort of about 4 days before you come out, and all the appointments are made. So I would say we view between 4 and 8 properties a day, sometimes more, sometimes less, but on average, it can be that many a day. Again, as I keep saying, it's very much dependent on the type of property. Buying a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment is very different to buying a farm or a cortijo or a finca and so on. So there's many legal aspects of buying a farm and land and so on that make things a bit more complicated. But so we say on average around 3 days midweek. Please avoid the weekends if you can. I understand many people, that's the only time they get to come, and we'll have to make special arrangements for that. But if you want to keep your viewing options as open as possible, we definitely need 1 day during the week, because of course you're going to see a lawyer, and I have lawyers that will work weekends, but the notary, where you go to do power of attorney, which is essential for the lawyer representing you, and applying for your NIE number, all that has to be done on a weekday. And of course, as I say, notaries don't work at weekends. It has to be during the week. I would say allow 4 days is a good 3 to 4 days to come and see us, and we will maximize that time that you have with us. And the numbers, as I say, between 4 and 8 properties a day.
Okay, I can feel people getting nervous at the idea that they're going to have to see a lawyer at the same time when they come on a viewing trip. What would you expect people to have done before coming on a viewing trip? Do they have to get their NIE number? Do they have to have spoken to a lawyer first? Anything that they should prepare before they come?
The only thing I would say is prepare your finance beforehand. I will ask you the question, how are you paying for this property? What funds? Because a lot of people, believe it or not, still come to me and say, well, I've got such and such amount saved, which means I can get a 90% mortgage and I can buy at this price, which just isn't the case in Spain. If you're looking to get your finance in Spain as a non-resident, you will get an absolute maximum amount of 70% on the sales or the valuation that the bank gives, whichever is lower. And more often than not, to non-residents, they're only giving 60 to 65%. So you have to be aware of how much readily available funds you must need for the deposit, plus the buying costs. Now, the buying costs in Andalusia, which is the area that we cover, is some of the lowest in the country. The taxes for buying have been slashed. We do have a buyer's guide, which I can send you, which outlines all this in writing. However, in Andalusia, the transfer tax has been slashed from 8%, 9%, and 10% down to a flat rate of 7%. So in some cases, a saving of 3% of the buying costs. And then the stamp duty on a new property is taken from 1.5% down to 1.2%. So anyway, all this is in writing, which I can send you. But the lawyer is essential because he will apply for your NIE number. He will ask for all the documentation of the property that you're looking to buy. He will, do a lot of preliminary work for you as well. The only thing I always say is we can do lots before you come. We can really fine tune the viewing trip, but I must say that by the time we're physically looking at property, you must be in a position to pay €6,000 reservation or 1%, depending on the greater value. But the developers, if you're buying something new, will have their own reservation amount, and then you'll enter into a payment schedule. But so in which case you must have your finance in place, because you have to. It's non-refundable deposit that you're paying, unless there is a legal issue with the property that cannot be resolved. I must be clear on that. It is fully it's if we find that it has too many square meters or there's illegal in any shape or form, then your money is fully refunded.
Okay. How do you view new builds? How does that process work?
So new builds, we basically we sell a lot of new builds actually remotely, because at the end of the day, we're on a piece of land and we're going, these are your views, and then the buildings, and we can do the measuring and so on. But at the end of the day, the floor plans, we have exact square meters, we have a lot of information, you have the quality specifications. We sell a lot of off plan, as I say, remotely. There's a payment schedule. You pay a reservation fee, and you enter that format of payment. But how do we work it? We go on site. The salesperson explains exactly what's happening on the development. We can do it remotely, as I say, with a video call with the salespeople. But they outline the plot, the square meters of the swimming pool, the floor plan of the property, which floor it's on, what views it will have. They have fantastic material to show you exactly what the views will be and so on. So that's how people buy. Now, some people buy before the license to build has even been issued on a new development, which a lot of people go, oh my God, that sounds really dodgy. Your money, every penny you pay over to when you buy a new development, until you get the keys, every single penny you pay over is bank guaranteed. Okay. So if anything happens, if there's a huge delay, or if the developer goes bust, then your money is refunded plus interest. Okay, you really don't have to worry. That's a legal thing that developers have to have in place. So bank guarantees, insurance policies to guarantee that clients will get their money back with interest if they do not build as and when they should. They promise to on the contract.
How do you know that your builder, your developer has done this? Presumably your lawyer.
Your lawyer will, yeah, exactly. We'll go back to the lawyer. Absolutely. One of the first things that when you reserve a property, the first things that the lawyer will ask for with a new development is the copy of the reservation form, the building license, and if it hasn't got building license, then your deposit is fully refundable anyway. It's an investment purchase. And he will ask for proof of, as I say, bank guarantees, building license, and so on. The thing is with new developments, why they're so attractive is that for 10 years, we didn't have any building work during the crash of 97. And what was being built then and what's being built now are two completely different things. You've got, back in the day, we had cream marble, dark wood, long living rooms, and it was more of a rustic feel. Whereas now they're building open plan, very bright, very airy. As I keep banging on about sustainability, energy efficiency, super duper heating systems and cooling systems. So people come over and they kind of look at the old and they look at the new, and most of the time they go with the new because of those reasons. But it may be that you just prefer a resale, and that's fine. But that's why we bang on about new development so much, is because the style is so different and the quality is just so different.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. but you have to wait for a couple of years for it.
Absolutely, absolutely. But what it does mean, sorry, my point was going to be, is that the other reason why they're so attractive is because the fact that you have to wait is that the developers offer them at really attractive prices. Okay, so what's really attractive about buying before the building license is even in place is that you're buying it as what we call the investors level. You're buying it at its cheapest price. So people think of it as a bit of a gamble, but it's not really, because your money doesn't even go to the developer. It sits within an escrow account and you wait for license to come in. I've had cases where people have bought before licenses is in place, and by the time the license has come in, the units that are left have gone up in price so much that clients kind of, even if they've changed their mind, they're like, I'm not going to change my mind. I'm going to go ahead because I've made so much money on the value of my property already. So that's just in the few months that it takes to get the license in. So anyway, by the time it's finished, units have gone up several times. If there are any left, the value has gone up so much. So it makes it very attractive for people to watch their money grow as much as watching the building being built. So
okay, let me throw some of these questions at you. Richard has asked, well, he's asking about how much would he pay for maintaining the property and tax annually. I appreciate that will depend, but if I'm on a viewing trip, can you tell me in advance what I'm going to be paying?
Absolutely. We obviously, different town halls hold a different cadastral value for each property. So this is the stem of much of the costs that and everything is so different within urbanizations and town halls, whether it's Mijas Town Hall or Marbella or Benavis, and it just varies so much. But please know that with every single property, when I send you the information, it will have the community fees, it will have the council tax that you'll pay every year, which is called IBI, we call it EB. And it will have the rubbish collection if it's separate from the council tax. And you'll have all that information on each property. So then, you will know that if you like a really lovely, a property, but, your community fees are going to be 800 a month, then you're going to know that, to walk away if that's not affordable. Obviously, it must be super special to have all that. But community fees all depend on how much services they've got. Is there a heated pool? Is there 24-hour security instead of 12-hour security? Is there, cleaners once a week, or is it every day? Or, there's lots of things that can affect the price of a community fee.
Okay. Now, we've had a question. I think you've already answered it, but I'm just going to reiterate it. If we're coming out on, say, a 5-day trip, we don't need to speak to 5 different estate agents.
No. This is the most important thing I want to get across. Is that you choose us. YOH choose us because of our reputation, our experience, my commitment, and so on. So we say, it's important for you to understand as clients that you can throw anything at me. I will have everything. And when you arrive, we pick you up in the morning and we've got everything organized. All the appointments are made. You don't have to meet some dodgy agent on the corner. You don't have to apologize for being late every time because you've spent too long in one property. You don't have to get lost. You don't have to do any of that. You can sit back in a car. I will have organized everything for you, and I will be driving you. I'll be pointing out different things that you will never see on your own, or if you were freaking out trying to find these places yourself. And I will have organized everything for you. All you have to do, I've got one client at the moment, every day she sends me like 3 properties, and I go back to her with all the property. And I'd use WhatsApp, all the time. So that's not a problem. And it's really important for you to understand. And people say to me, even when they've explained it, oh, but we only talk to this agent because of this. If you register, if you're talking to them and they've got your name, your email address, and so on, that means you're registered with them. And what that means is some of the more unscrupulous agents will just register you everywhere, and then it makes it really, really difficult for me to get free appointments for everything, and it just complicates and makes a mess. But also, as I say, you just won't get pulled in all different directions and have your time completely wasted. I know clients that have done it, and they end up pulling their hair out because they just don't know what's what anymore. Whereas, you know, if they stick with me or one of my staff, we will be 100% transparent and open with them as exactly as to what's happening, and you feel as much part of the process as you know you want to be. So
Okay.
yeah, that's
So we've had quite a few legal questions, but we haven't got time for those, I'm afraid.
mhm.
But like I say, do contact your overseas home directly.
Yeah.
What I do want to answer though is I know you mentioned buying costs, and they vary, of course.
Yeah.
But typical ballpark, Craig is asking €300,000. He wants to purchase a new build priced at €300,000. So total cost
On top.
adding
Yeah.
on to that.
So a new build incurs 10% VAT. And then on top of that, you have 1.2% stamp duty. Then you have 1% legal fees, 0.5% notary costs, 0.5% land registry, and so about 9.5% in total for resale properties. For a new development, I would say 10, 1.5, 13.5, 14%. But this is what I say. It's important for you to know the difference in buying new and old are very different in purchase costs.
Yes.
But it can be very different to when the completion happens and the value has gone up so much. You can make more in capital growth.
Okay, one last question. I mean, a lot of us, myself, and certainly my wife, would come out and look at a property and think, right, what can I change? Now, I guess we can't always just put in a pool. We can't all just build an extension. So would you be able to advise us on what we'd be likely to be able to do, or would we have to have a lawyer or a surveyor?
Once again, I mean, if it's a villa you're buying and it doesn't have a pool and it says on the notes room to build a pool, and people would say, oh yeah, that's fine, as long as as long as you've got the room to build it, that's fine. Well, it's not fine. You still have to go and get the license to build a pool. You still have to get permission and so on, and there's a cost in that, not just the cost of building it, but there's cost for the license, there's cost for the legal fees and all sorts. So that's things like that you have to be aware of, but the lawyer will do all of that for you. He will take on a surveyor to do the plans, and he will apply for the license to do things like that. If you want an extension, there are certain rules, very simple. The house has to be within 3 meters boundary 3 meters from the boundary at any given point, but there are certain percentages of the plot that you can build on, depending on whether it's rustic land, urban land, so on and so forth. So you just can't, you need a lawyer to go through all that. But there's a lot of stuff that I will know in advance about a property that will either dismiss it or include it in the viewing process. In terms of building work and so on, we have all that for you. I've project managed many renovations, builds, and all sorts. I've got so many clients that come over and say, I don't want to do any reform. I don't want to do any reform. I don't want to do any reform. And of course, they end up doing reform because the property is the exact location they want it to be. It just happens to be a little bit older. So we rip out the bathrooms, put in some lovely new, fresh units, and it's perfect because it's the perfect location and it's lovely inside.
Fantastic. Okay, right. We have actually run out of time now.
Oh, so okay.
Just
as I say, the buying costs, I know it's all very blah, blah, but we do have buyer's guides that outlines everything for you beforehand, and we'd be pleased, as I say, via via yourselves, we'd be delighted to talk to you.
Yeah, we will send everybody who's here and watching on demand. We will send you the Shirin's contact details.
Perfect.
And we really would advise you to get in touch with Shirin, who we worked with for a long time, and we know it's a fantastic estate agent.
Thank you.
throughout the area. Just blowing our own trumpet. If you could possibly leave, if you've enjoyed the presentation, if you could leave a review on Trustpilot, we would be very grateful. There will be a link popping up, I'm hoping, sometime on the screen. Otherwise, you'll find your overseas home there. There you go. Hopefully, that's appeared on your screen. So, thank you again to Shirin. Thank you to the company, the Spanish estate agent. And thank you for attending, and we hope to see you in Spain soon.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
very much for your time. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.